Hello everyone, thank you for having me here to talk to you a little bit about the Vega architecture. But before I do that, I'd like to thank everyone in the audience who is a partner of Radeon. Thank you for the success over the last 12 months. We've seen a tremendous amount of great market progress with RX 480, RX 470, and RX 460. Actually, we've captured a tremendous amount of market share because of your partnership, and most importantly because of the millions of gamers around the world and watching this stream using Radeon to help them enjoy everything that they do with their computer, whether it's gaming or productivity. So on behalf of Radeon, thank you partners, thank you gamers, and we look forward to launching the Vega architecture at the high-end space to do even more with all of our partners and the gamers worldwide. So thank you. Okay, so when we take a look at the Vega architecture, we really thought about solving a few different things, but I want to highlight a few different problems that we see in the marketplace today. And one is just the huge, lavish virtual worlds that are being built. If you look at in the early 2000s, you know, when games were being published to gamers, it would be megabytes of size to download and install a game. And if you take a look at the very far right of the chart, in 2016, we see a huge explosion to 55 gigabytes or more in terms of PC capacity to install a game. And the reason for that is because games today are built using some of the most high-resolution textures and capabilities inside the game. If you think about virtual reality, all of those need to be high fidelity, fantastic visuals, and more importantly, we want them to be gigantic levels that you can go around and enjoy playing with your friends and feeling like you're completely immersed in that level. So that was one thing we looked at when we started building the Vega architecture. And then the second thing that we looked at with the Vega architecture is what's going on with the movies and the movie industry. And so this plot shows the size of the total data set used by Vega Digital to render the effects in popular movies. Again, we see a dramatic growth that is accelerating over time, moving into multiple petabytes of data. So if you look at The Lord of Rings in 2001, and then you look at the most popular BFG movie that came out just this last year, you'll see that there's an exponential growth in the number of data and the amount of data that movies are using to build and create the most wonderful types of creation in cinema today. Also, when we take a look at the Vega architecture, we thought about the professional side of it, or the compute side of it. So in the compute market, the problem data sets are even larger. They're ranging into the petabytes today. So if you take a look at the 1995 timeframe, character recognition, all the way through the late 90s into the 2000s and even to today, our data point is actually too big to illustrate. We can't even plot the data point on this chart because the professional market wants instant access to exabytes of data, but they want that instant access now to help them make the most relevant decisions for their business, whether it's shifting orders, whether it's drilling pipes, drilling in the ocean for oil, or more importantly, whether it's to make a decision in the social media landscape of who to friend and who not to friend in their suggested inbox. And so when we think about the problems that Vega was to create is, how do you create something that solves the large amounts of data that are inside games? How do you solve the compute market to make sure that you're getting instant access to exabytes of data, and then as well as you look at movie and content creation and the petabytes of data that the cinema and the video industry are doing. So that's really what led us to build the Vega architecture and make it even more in performance and for gaming and for the use of the professional market. So the other thing I want to talk to you a little bit about today before we get into the architecture is just the latest stats that we take a look at for the gaming market. Just in this year alone, we believe there will be a 3 times growth of games using the latest APIs. That's Vulkan, DX12, and you'll see a plethora of games both throughout China and also throughout the rest of the world in terms of the latest APIs and the amount of games that are going to be launched this year for Vulkan and DX12. The second data point is the number of VR headsets that are launching with AAA content. So finally, we believe this is going to be one of the strongest years for virtual reality and AAA games inside virtual reality headsets. And so if you think about that, virtual reality takes a huge amount of GPU horsepower to be able to run a AAA game at least at 60 hertz, if not more, and at the most high fidelity possible, so that way you feel completely immersed in that VR headset. Also, we see the amount of fantastic upgrades being about roughly 5x what they've ever been. Now, What that means is gamers have a plethora of different options to build a PC. CPUs, motherboards, memory, VR headsets, monitors, external graphics. All of those things are coming into the gaming market and providing more and more choice, but they also require a powerful GPU to run those high-end 4K monitors, 8K monitors, and or external GPU enclosures. And then lastly, social media, even for those gamers watching online now. A huge amount of growth, 2 times the number of gamers streaming year over year. We are so excited about that because it gets everybody thinking and looking at the latest games that are being published, and more importantly, figuring out how they can build their own new system to watch and play a game that they watch their most favorite streamers playing today. So that leads us to Vega. What do you think? Radeon RX Vega. Okay, very good. So we built Vega with the world's most advanced GPU memory architecture. So I want to talk to you a little bit today about why that's so important and what we're working so hard back in our labs to launch this product very soon to you. It's just around the corner, I promise. Everybody's extremely excited and motivated to bring this product to you. But when you take a look at the challenge of building the world's most scalable GPU memory architecture, we had to do it for a few reasons. And so let me show you that now. The first piece of this new memory architecture is something we call the high bandwidth cache. That's our name for Vega's on-chip packaged physical memory. This cache is programmable and can be used flexibly in different configurations. So let me show you some of those configurations now. So one piece of the memory architecture that's important to showcase to you is the bandwidth per pin. So we're going to see a 2x increase of bandwidth per pin from HBM2 to HBM, which is a pretty remarkable way of telling you that the bandwidth increase will allow you to drive the latest and greatest content at higher resolutions and fidelity faster than what can be done today with HBM. We also needed a memory tech that could transfer more power efficient base images and resolutions. And so when you take a look at the HBM2 versus GDDR5, we have about a 5x increase in performance over GDDR5. And why that's important is because not only do you need to transfer more bandwidth fast, but you also need to do it power efficient. It's important that you fine-tune both of those so that way you're not drawing too much power as you're delivering the result to the gamer screen or to the professional user's screen. And then also the capacity. So Vega will use a memory architecture with HBM2 that has a different capacity stack. So you'll see from our partners and from our AIB and our add-in board partners, you'll see different configurations, whether that's 4 gig or 8 gig or those types of memory architectures that allow you to drive different games and different resolutions based upon what capacity stack they end up using. And then lastly, what we're really excited about is you take a look at our footprint for Vega. So since Vega has the memory on chip, you'll see a 50% reduction in footprint from GDDR5 versus HBM2. So that'll allow our partners, OEM partners, to create brand new, fantastic design notebooks that are thinner, that are lighter, but still pack that punch you need to drive virtual reality or the latest and greatest AAA games. Okay, so with that amazing piece of hardware, the high bandwidth memory cache, you also need to leverage it with a cache controller to be able to manage efficiently that bandwidth. And so one of the things that we're really excited about is the ability to go off chip. Something we call the high bandwidth cache controller allows you to go to NVRAM. It also allows you to go to network storage or even system DRAM that's on your PC today. And why is that important is because as you look at those big data sets that I showed you earlier, it's not enough to have 8 gigs or 6 gigs or even 12 gigs. You need to be able to access the 60 gigs, the 1 terabytes, the other data that are external to your GPU in order to manage those workloads. So we built Vega to go off chip, use those bigger network storage capacities and bring that data back to the GPU and manage that so that way we can effectively allow you to work on bigger projects than you've ever been able to work on before, but do it in an efficient manner inside the GPU today through Vega. So I'd like to show you a quick demo. This is Deus Ex. And I'd like to show you the difference between the high bit cache that's on your right here, HPCC. This is with it on, and then HPCC on your left, which is with it off. And what you can see here is we're driving a 50% higher average frame per second and 100% minimum frames per second difference. And you'll see the smooth flow that you see in the game to the right versus the HPCC off to the left. All of this is using high resolution and textures to allow you to drive that off-memory bandwidth back to the GPU and then execute that for the HPCC on. So we're pretty excited about that, and we'll even have more demos on this as we get closer to launch for you guys all to take a look at. So also talking about HPCC, let me show you this photo that's up on screen here today. It looks beautiful, right? It's a photo of a room. You can imagine it being in Italy. But the thing that I want to talk to you about is this is not really a photo. This is actually rendered using the Radeon Pro rendering tool, known as light path caching. So we cache the results of the light path computations and stream them in as needed. And the data set that is actually we're using here to do this video through the Pro rendering tool is actually on a different drive outside the GPU. It's about a 600 gigabyte file. But when you take a look at the Pro rendering tool, what it allows us to do is work with that data set off GPU and bring it in real time to create one of the most photorealistic pictures that you've seen that Vega architecture can execute for you. Okay, one other new technology that we'll be talking about over the next coming months and that you should learn about for the Vega architecture is that the new programmable geometry pipeline. So we built the new programmable geometry pipeline inside Vega to deliver 2x the peak throughput per clock. Now what this allows you to do is drive games and data at a faster rate than our previous generation architecture. So as you take a look at frames per second, which matter a lot in AAA games or even in virtual reality, you have to be able to drive fast pixels in order to keep up with the refresh rates of the virtual reality headset or even those 4K and 8K monitors. One example I'd like to show you is inside a game called Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. This is an incredibly complex scene. There's a lot of geometry built into here, and it's a part of the scene of this that I'm showing you here is from Gollum City, and it's a really complex area of the game. And if I just turn off the actual imagery and show you the wireframe, you'll see that in many areas there's one or more polygons per pixel. So the model almost looks solid. And then what we had to do is if you take a look at how we drive these pixels to that, Vega architecture, that 2x pixel per pipe, will not only give you high frames per second, but it'll allow you to drive it efficiently in those areas that the pixels are complex and or stacked. Okay? Now, we also want to announce the next generation compute engine. In order to handle the increasing complexity of compute workloads, let's call it the professional workloads, we built Vega's next gen compute engine to tackle the variety of data problems in machine and artificial intelligence space. So that's what we're introducing, calling the Vega NCU. So the Vega NCU drives 512 8-bit ops per clock, or 256 16-bit ops per clock, or 128 32-bit ops per clock. Double precision rate is configurable, so you can think about which one you want to go, and you can configure that in your double precision model. But more importantly, our chip allows us to operate in between those. So you don't always have to go at 32-bit, 128. You can switch back and forth in between there and manage your workloads appropriately, so that way you're driving the best performance possible as you're doing your application or your game. So as an example of that, I'd like to show you a real quick demo in Rapid Pack Math. This is a TressFX demo. On the right-hand side, you will see Rapid Pack Math on. And then on the left-hand side, you're going to see Rapid Pack Math off. So let's go ahead and run that demo on the center. Okay, so you'll see that we've actually doubling more than double. So the slide said 2x. This is really 2x plus in this demo. But on the right-hand side, you'll see on the top, you'll see that we're delivering right about 1.2 million. And on the left-hand side, you'll see that we're delivering right around 550,000 strands per second. And why that's important is Rapid Pack Math allows the game developer or the professional user to jump back and forth and be in between the op cycle and allow them to maximize how they drive more and more detail and more, in this example, hairs on screen for the most performance out of the GPU ever before possible. Okay. Now, quickly, we'll talk about the next generation Pixel engine. It's a next generation Pixel engine will deliver even higher efficiency than ever before. So what we've done is most games today, when they ship a game and you play them with the GPU, they drive a lot of high images to your GPU, and your GPU recognizes those images and has to display those. And sometimes when it's a complex scene, it hits your frame rate and it hits it pretty hard. Well, what we've built into the architecture of Vega is the draw stream binning rasterizer. And what this essentially does is it culls those polygons that you actually don't see on the screen, and it allows you to increase your frame rates. And so fetch once enabled by smart primitive rasterization on chip bin cache, and then shade once enabled by culling of the pixels. So it's one of those opportunities that we've used inside Vega to make sure that when your game is being displayed on the screen, that we're only showing those polygons that matter to the end user. The other thing that we've done is the Vega render backends are now clients to the L2 cache, which allows for more precise handling of the backend workloads, again, increasing your performance and your efficiency, as well as improving the performance with applications that use deferred shaders. So the L1 cache, being a client of the geometry pipeline, the compute engine, and the pixel engine in our Vega architecture, will allow us to deliver even a more finite control mechanism for game developers, for professional users that want to make sure that they go in and maximize their applications. Okay, so in general, to recap, the Vega architecture that we're talking about now, that I'd love to talk to a lot of the press here today a little bit, is about the high bandwidth cache controller, access to storage and or other data sets that are off chip, bringing them in, managing those, and making sure that we're having the ability to solve some of the world's biggest problems, whether it's through compute or through intelligence. We also have our new programmable geometry pipeline, how we effectively tackle the world's biggest problems in gaming and or movies, and making sure that our geometry pipeline is acting efficiently and as fast as possible through our architecture. And the next generation compute engine with rapid packed math. How do we do this in a way that allows developers, that allows compute and workloads and intelligence to jump back and forth between double precision and or ops precision, to give them the flexibility to solve the world's best problems and biggest problems by doing it fast and efficiently. And then lastly, our advanced pixel engine. Driving games and maximizing the fidelity while making sure that we're keeping our eye on performance and efficiency is something that the advanced pixel engine will show you more and more demos as we get closer to launch will allow us to do. So with that, I want to thank you very much for your time. It's a very brief architecture review for Vega, and I'll tell you it's just around the corner, and I hope you're as excited as we are at AMD, and I want to thank you for your time and your support. Thank you.